Welcome back to Star Narratives, the podcast. This is your go-to for accessible and relatable astrology designed to help you understand your inner workings and spiritual awakening. I'm your host, Natha Perkins. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Natha. We are looking at the week of August 5th through the 11th. We are in Leo season, and we're going to talk about the heart today. The heart is what Leo as a sign rules. The heart, the spine, the upper back. So think for a minute as you sit here, tune into your upper back, into your heart area, into your spine, and how are those places feeling? We hold so much tension and so much stress in those areas. And most of us are taught to go outside seeking ways to solve any pain or suffering that we feel in those areas. Today, we're going to talk about how to start from within and really read what any kind of pain and suffering in your upper back, in your spine, and in your heart is trying to tell you. So I'm doing a reading special this month. It is August for all the teenagers going back to school. If you know of a teenager in your life that needs a little guidance when it comes to who they are, what they're going to face this year, how to better manage their relationships, and how to just function a little bit more clearly in this super crazy world environment that we're in, you can find those readings on my website at astrology.com. If you like my style as you listen to this and you want to book a reading for yourself, or you want to learn more astrology, or you want to learn more about the people in your life, I have so many options for how to work with me. And season 5, if you are new here, I'm going through every sun sign as the sun is in that sign. And I am teaching you through the lens of psychology, spirituality, and astrology, all designed to help you get more centered and know yourself better so that you can be a leader as we move through all of this crazy transformation and collective confusion that we are going through. I also follow up the teaching segment of every episode in season 5 with an astrology forecast for the week. That will just give you some ideas of what's coming up and how to work with it. All right, let's get started. This whole concept of self-awareness, it begins at Aries. It begins when we come in, and then we move through every sign: Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. We are in Leo right now. And all of these signs are teaching us about who we are. We can pay attention or not. Most of us are not taught to pay attention. We are taught to be outward focused. We are following the rules. We are trying not to get in trouble. We are taught to be good little boys and girls and good little humans. And we hit these various precipices in our lives where we realize this isn't it. If I keep turning myself into who all of these external forces want me to be, then I start noticing that I'm suffering. And I have pain in my body, and my back is going out, and I'm disconnected from my heart. But how would we know how to connect with our hearts unless somebody or something came along and started teaching us to do that? So today we are talking about the gifts of Leo. We are also talking about the body parts that are associated with Leo. And Leo is a life force. So is Aries and Sagittarius. All of the fire signs are the energies that we need in order to live. The fire signs are the life bringers, as Stephen Forrest says. Take a minute and tune into your heart as we sit here and go back to where we started, taking some deep breaths into your heart area, into your upper back, into your spine. And even if you were to move your spine around, how easily does your spine move? How flexible does it feel? Does it give you pain as you move? How does it feel when you're breathing air consciously into that section of your body? When we are caught up in our Gemini mind, we have lost touch with our Taurus body. When we are immersed in our emotions and we are trying to self-protect, we will also lose touch with our body and our heart. There are all of these things that come in to roadblock us from being connected with our heart. Not to mention the very beginning of our lives. When we really connect with our heart is when we get demanding and we say, no, I don't want that. I'm not going to eat that. I'm not going to do that. I'm mad. I'm sad. I'm struggling. Which, when we're younger, because we don't have the verbal skills, we end up throwing what looks like tantrums, and our parents don't like that. And our teachers don't like that. Melting down is not okay. Culture, society doesn't like that. Think about your own reaction when you're out in public and a kid is screaming and saying no, and we all kind of roll our eyes a little bit. So, this whole tuning in with our heart, which is where we can get really immediate answers around, yes, this is right, or no, this is not right, is conditioned out of us. What is the reason for developing self-awareness? Why would we want to do that? And self-awareness is a Leo thing. It is where we are finally starting to look at how the outside world is really different from who we are. And that we have to honor who we are. We have to know that we have needs and desires that are different from those around us, that we have experiences, that we actually experience things really uniquely from other people. And we start to build this personality. We talked about last week with the Leo shadow that personality can sometimes look a lot like an overbearing ego that says it's going to be this way because that's how I get what I need from you, is if you see me as smart and rich and successful and lovable. But we're separating who we really are from the ego, and we soften in when we start to really get it. This is something that I really enjoy. This is something that makes my heart feel excited. This is something that I'm drawn toward. This is something that I feel passionate about. And the other side, I don't like that. I don't want that. I don't want to be in relationship with that person. I don't want to be treated like that. So we begin to really differentiate between what we really love and what we feel naturally drawn to, and what we really don't like and what we don't want in our lives. And that is the development of our Leo sense of self-awareness. So we develop self-awareness. Ideally, it helps us to reflect why things have happened, why we show up in a situation, why we do what we do. It helps us to examine our beliefs, our values, helps us to understand our emotional responses. It helps us to gain insight into our behavior patterns. Self-awareness is really where it's at, because otherwise we're just going through in reactivity. And we're getting angry and we're getting mad and we're blaming, and it's disempowering. And it takes us back to, I'm just simply reacting and responding to what the people around me are doing or wanting from me, or how they're treating me. So as you are tuning into your heart, and I would suggest tune into your heart this week. Tune into your heart right now as we sit here. Again, close your eyes and just give your heart some breath and see what it is that your heart needs from you right now. See whether it has any messages for you or whether it's trying to communicate something to you. And the heart's messages are going to be subtle, but they're going to be powerful. And you won't know them unless you take the time to quiet and tune in. So this week, as this theme is on your mind, every time you think about it, take a deep breath and tune in. You can even put your hand on your heart and see whether you can feel the beating of your heart. You can see how connected you actually feel with your heart. You may have noticed over the past several years that the old ways of being, striving, efforting, trying to get to the top, trying to be successful, get that A, find that relationship, look beautiful, all of these things that your ego has prompted you to do in order to feel safety. You might have noticed that those things are going away. There is much that we are letting go of right now. Think about that for a minute. What are you letting go of? This would be old historical beliefs that you have about people in your past, feelings of being wronged, feelings of being unseen, feelings of not being worthy. That striving desire to look as successful from the outside so that you don't have to face any sort of inner turmoil. There's a lot with Pluto moving into the sign of Aquarius, a lot of those old traditional ways that are falling. And in order to allow them to fall, you have to really be tuning in with your heart so that you can continue to meet the openings, right? Because everything that's falling away is leaving a space. And within that space, many, many things can come in to take that space up. Fear, other people's beliefs and desires, which is what was taking up that space before. But ideally, you want to be able to fill the space yourself. So, an analogy of this is that imagine if you have a basement and that basement is empty. And what ends up happening to an empty basement? All the stuff that you don't want, that you don't know what to do with, ends up going down there, right? So the space becomes filled. Eventually, you go down into the basement and you look around and you think, oh my God, what a mess. I've got to deal with all this. I don't even want any of this. Why did I keep this? Okay. So as all of these old ways, these structures in our lives, how life has functioned up until this point, these structures are falling. And if you aren't there, ready to replace what has fallen with something new, it's going to fill up with stuff you don't want. Most of that's going to be garbage from the media, really, social media, advertisements. It's like the junk mail. And so much of media is junk mail now. It's all just trying to get you to do something, spend money, engage with fear, whatever. Or you have this empty basement and you decide, I'm going to set up an area that I can create that is my own sanctuary, where I can go down there and get solitude. I can lay out my crafts. I can read my books. I can sit and do my meditations. I can pull my cards. And so you set up tapestries and you set up meditation pillows and beautiful sofas and plants and crystals, and you make it your own little sanctuary. Next time you have something you don't know what to do with, you're not going to plop it down in the middle of your sanctuary. You're going to actually get rid of it. So that's what we're doing right now, is we're trying to prepare all of the empty space that's left as we're getting rid of all these old structures and these ideas of I have to be a certain way in order to be safe and secure and loved. And instead, we're replacing it with things that are useful and valuable to who we are now. But in order to know who we are now, we have to really spend time with our heart, and we have to get that clarity. We have to let our heart push us in the direction of our passions, the things that light us up, the things that feel amazing. When we do that, we are also getting added benefits of increased self-confidence. We are getting greater self-control. We are becoming more in alignment with our goals. And really, the biggest thing is that we're enhancing our emotional intelligence. And the balancing act, the center point in all of that, is the ability to come into the present moment. Talked about that all through Gemini season. To tune into your body, talked about that all through Taurus season. To really get clear on your boundaries, talked about that during Aries season. And then I skipped one, Cancer season, which is where we started looking at how we attune to and listen to our emotions. This is all coming together in the concept of this kingdom that I keep talking about. The king, Leo, the heart. Your heart is your king. It's looking for new ways to rule the kingdom. And we want that kingdom to be one that is beautiful to be in, desirable, fun, relaxing, vibrant. And in order to have all of those things, we don't want to be packing it full of all of our fears and everybody else's beliefs and opinions and outrage and all of that stuff. So this is the month in Leo season where you are invited to tune very consistently into your heart. Pay attention to your spine. When your spine is out of alignment, something is emotionally out of alignment. As I've been doing all of these Leo season readings for people, And we keep talking about this idea of opening yourself up to figuring out the things that feel fun, that you feel passionate about. These things aren't going to necessarily just find you naturally. They might, but with Leo, which is a fixed sign, all of the fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, all require steady work, steady attention. They are the workers of the zodiac, and you have to keep putting in the work. So in this case, putting in the work, tuning into your heart, watching the fluidity of your spine, noticing when something is out of alignment. Google is your friend. ChatGPT is your friend. You can ask questions. What is the spiritual meaning of an achy upper back? And you will get some great information. And all you have to do is use this information to get some nuggets of, oh, wow, I'm feeling like the world is on my shoulders. I'm feeling like I'm responsible for everybody and everything. Is that true? Do I wish to continue feeling responsible for everybody and everything? If the answer is no, what do I do instead? Well, I can tune into my heart. And I can take some deep breaths and I can ask my heart, what would I like to be responsible for instead? And perhaps your heart gives you an answer along the lines of, I want to have more fun. I want to laugh some more. Well, then what do you have to do to create that? Spending time in nature is an amazing way to create more fun and laughter. It will show up for you because spending time in nature is where you create stillness and silence for the downloads to come in. Leo is the sign of the sun. Go out and allow your skin to feel the sunshine. When was the last time you stood naked in the sun? If you have an area in your yard where you can go and privately be naked in the sun, I highly recommend it. There are downloads and information that come in through the rays of the sun for you from your higher power. So this is all about really engaging with your heart, really making the effort to find the things that you feel passionate about. And if you don't have a specific answer that comes to your mind about what you feel passionate about, go little things. Find the little things. Go buy yourself a beautiful cup of coffee. Go pick yourself some gorgeous flowers from your garden. Go have fun with petting your animals. Like it's small, tiny ways of experiencing joy and vibrancy that all build that muscle to being able to know more clearly, this is where I want to move in the direction of. I'm tired of playing the old rules, the old game, where I have to sell myself out or ignore my own heart or do a bunch of things in order to feel like I'm having fun or to feel like I'm valuable, to feel like you're reflecting to me who I am, and therefore I think that's who I am. No, we're not playing that game anymore. This is a new game where it's all about you and you're learning about how to show up as the most real and authentic version of who you are so that you can feel more settled, that you can be a way shower for all the people in your field that are farther down the path than you, because we're all going through this one way or the other. This is a collective transformation. You're just a little bit ahead of everybody. And all of the little ways that you learn how to honor yourself are going to be the things that people see you doing. And they're going to say, I'll learn how to honor myself. And then you can teach them how. All right, let's talk about the astrology of the week. Okay, well, we begin on August 5th, Monday, but on August 4th, we had a new moon in Leo. We had Venus enter the sign of Virgo, and we had Mercury go retrograde in the sign of Virgo. That's a lot of energy. It's that Leo Virgo axis, which I'll talk about in a few weeks. Leo is where we go from being centered on who we are, trying to create that baseline for who we are. And then Virgo is where we begin to start going out into the world, trying to make sense of what is next and what the plan is. So we're underneath that energy. The Mercury retrograde Mercury rules the sign of Virgo. So this is probably going to be a pretty crazy retrograde. Mercury is related to the mind, and Virgo is related to the nervous system. So the impact of your mind on your nervous system is one to watch. Be mindful of getting caught up in news stories that are designed to blow something out of proportion and push you into outrage. That is definitely the MO of media right now, is you're either being pushed into, I really want that, I have to have that, or I'm outraged about something happening, or I'm really terrified something's going to happen. So really stay on top of what you're allowing into your field of awareness and the impact that it has on your nervous system, and start to separate from the real incendiary stuff. So first of all, I just want to start off by showing you that Uranus is at 27 degrees of Taurus. This is the first time that Uranus has hit the 27th degree. So this is a new flavor of Uranus and Taurus energy. Uranus and Taurus is bringing us the shifts and the changes in our relationship to our health, our body, our food, our waters, the earth, and also our relationship to our own self-confidence and self-worth. So be looking for situations that come on board, or situations that have been brewing that are asking you to change. Uranus brings unexpected and swift changes that you didn't see coming. So know that some of those might be on their way as Uranus hits 27 degrees. This is the degree that it's going to retrograde at. So it's going to be at 27 for a while. On August 7th, we see Venus here in conjunction with Mercury in retrograde. So this is where you have to be really on point with your communications with the people that you're in relationship with, also with yourself. You need to be getting more and more clear on what your own personal value system is. Because right now, the way the world works is that most of us are in our own echo chamber, where depending on what kind of media we're consuming and what kind of media the people around us are consuming, we get sucked into, quote, a value system. Whether that is actually our value system or not is up for debate. So be very mindful of hearing the same things over and over, and how that might transform the way that you actually see the world and you perceive the world, which is what we're always looking at with Mercury. Our perception of the world, and Venus is our value system. So this is a very potent time to be disentangling from the value system of the collective, your collective, whatever that is, so that you can just analyze it and make sure that you really feel in your heart that those value systems relate to you. Because next up, on August 8th, we see this asteroid Juno make an opposition to Neptune. And then the next day after that, we see Juno making a trine to Pluto. Juno is also changing signs from Venus into Libra. So it's a big Juno week. Juno is a relational asteroid. It speaks to our marriages, and that is our relational marriages, the people that we marry. It's also business partnerships. And it's also the idea of what we commit to. So a lot of times we're committing to stuff that's just kind of happened. It's this default commitment. For example, somebody might be committed to their political party, or somebody might be committed to their version of social justice. Somebody might be committed to their idea of their identity. So we get committed to things, and then we relentlessly stand by those things, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. When I'm reading a chart and I'm looking at Juno and I'm reading about a relationship in somebody's life, I say, Juno is where we look at what could go wrong, what we might be committing to that is going to work against us. So this is a good week also, as you're examining your perceptions and your values, to be looking at what you have inadvertently committed to. The mythology of Juno is one of the long-suffering wife. She was granted goddess status because she married Jupiter, but Jupiter was not a good husband. Jupiter was cheating on her and running around, and she maintained her fidelity. She stayed with it, but she was bitter and she was crabby and she was not nice as a result. So we commit to things And then if life isn't going the way that we want it to go or we think it should go, we might start to act out and we might start to get resentful or fault finding. We might tune out. We might look out in other directions at other people. There's all these different ways that we balance out a bad commitment. So this week, as Juno is making these connections to these outer planets, these powerful outer planets of Neptune and Pluto and changing signs, it's important that you're assessing your commitments. What are you committed to? Are you still willing to be committed to those? And what is happening when your commitments are feeling like they're too much or the things that you've committed to aren't matching up with what you wanted in return? I'll end with a reminder that this is a time where the more that you know yourself, the more that you tune into your heart, the easier all of this becomes. And we are all in territory that we have not covered before. So a lot of this is new. We're trying to find our footing. We are hopefully becoming aware of the impact of the outside world and the attempt to sway our belief systems one way or the other, and the importance of really finding your center so that regardless of what's going on out there, what information you're reading about, what kind of conversations you're having with people, that it's not going to throw you so totally out of alignment that you're not going to know what to do, because you don't want to be vulnerable to anybody or anything that's just trying to advertise to you. They want your fearful response. They want your money. They want your allegiance. We want to be able to choose where we're going to spend our money, where we're going to put our allegiance, and what we're going to believe from a place of centeredness, heart-centeredness. Otherwise, we might get the wool pulled over our eyes, and none of us want that. All right, I hope this was helpful. I will see you all next week. Thanks so much for joining me. If you have enjoyed what you have heard, like, subscribe, leave a message, leave a review. You can find me on Instagram at Electra_astrology or on my website at electraastrology.com.